In the corner of the park, a female lies naked in the dirt, shot 8 times in the back.
Told me that a body had been found at Lauterbach Park and she appeared to be a victim of a homicide.
Detective Paul Villapando catches the call and rolls to the scene.
She was totally unclothed. There were several apparent gunshot wounds to her upper body. I noticed a lot of debris nearby and some clothes. There was some trash, beer bottles, and condoms found on the ground nearby the location where she was found.
Crime scene technicians discover 2 sets of unknown footprints in the dirt. The prints are photographed and evidence collected. Meanwhile, Villapando tries to ID his victim.
At this time, I decided to take a photograph and show it to the people that were gathered in the parking lot. One female there told me she thought she recognized the person as being Pam, and that she hung around the area of Olivewood Terrace and Ocean View Boulevard in San Diego. In general, it's a high crime area. We walked up to the house, but there was a pit bull chained to the front door. I yelled at the house, and a male, Mr. Sharp, came out and spoke with me.
They showed me a Polaroid, and I said that was her.
Tyrone Sharp IDs the victim as his friend, 32-year-old Pamela Shelley, a known prostitute and drug user. According to Sharp, Pamela left his house around 2 a.m., but never returned home.
Oh, she said she was going to the playground. They called the playground. I kind of walked her up to the next block here and just told her to be careful, you know. And she said, well, somebody's got my money in their pocket, and she took off for a little bouncy walk that she has.
The news of his friend's murder hits Tyrone hard.
She was the sweetest person that you ever want to meet. She was a beautiful person. And of all these unnecessary lot lizards around here, why would they take the queen, you know?
Villapando hits the streets and starts asking around.
Okay, this is 32nd and National. It's high pedestrian traffic because of the nearby naval base. So she could get customers pretty steadily out here. I was looking for people who knew Pamela, who worked in the same area that she did, some of her steady customers, any information I could get to try and develop a possible lead.
For 6 weeks, the detective works Shelley's stroll, but finds nothing in the way of leads. When the street work fails to pay off, Villapando turns to the crime lab, hoping to catch a break.
We had a lot of evidence laying there. We had the condoms, beer bottle, clothing, a lot of activities. So it told us that everything happened right there.
On March 23rd, Rodrigo Viesca sifts through the Shelley evidence and pulls out a beer bottle found just 5 feet from the body.
What's interesting about this bottle is that the bag is, we have two items in here. One is a beer bottle and one is a liquid. The liquid is what was in the bottle, still in when we found it.
Hoping the suspect's prints are still on the bottle, Viesca applies superglue to enhance the detail.
Oh, I saw all these fingerprints on there, some white residue with ridge formation. And it's like, okay, I've got something to work with here.
When Viesca dusts the bottle, he lifts 2 unknown fingerprints. The prints are uploaded into APHIS, but the system doesn't return a match.
None of these led anywhere. It just went down a path where there was no resolution. I felt that no one deserves to die that way.
After 3 months, Pamela Shelley's case goes cold. In April of 2003, the 2 unknown profiles are uploaded into the CODIS system, but fail to generate a match.
Disappointment. You're always disappointed when you don't get a hit on these things.
But Conrad isn't finished yet. He returns to the evidence, locates the beer bottle, and resubmits the prints for testing.
This is the latent print section of the Chula Vista Police Department Crime Lab.
On April 9th, Mary Kay Hunt examines the fingerprint evidence.
This is the actual lift. So we'll place the latent print under the direct capture area and capture that image.
Hunt loads the prints into APHIS. 30 minutes later, the system returns 2 separate hits.
She said, we got 2 hits. off this beer bottle off prints. So it went from kind of 0 to 90 in about 1 minute there.
Detective Bob Conrad has two names, Andre Robinson and Adrian Sutherland.
Both had lived in Chula Vista at the time of the murder. They had both been in the Navy. And then I noticed they were both from the same hometown in North Carolina.
We had to make a decision.
The prints are a good start, but Conrad needs more.
We knew we had a potential defense of, oh, well, I was just drinking in the park and I had nothing to do with this murder.
Okay, this is where we came to contact Adrian Sutherland.
Would you be surprised if I told you that you think tying Andre into this body? Body? It was found up there in the park? Yeah. I mean, would you be surprised? You'd be surprised. I hate to hear that.
After 15 minutes, Conrad shifts gears.
But when we started pointing a finger at him, he got very defensive.
Would it surprise you if I told you there's something in that park that ties you into it? Yeah, it definitely surprising. Well, you're telling us you've never been there. Right. Never been there. Never been there. Never even heard of it.
He and Robinson both lived within a half a mile of the park at the time of the murder. And he denied knowing where the park was. He denied ever picking up a prostitute. He just denied everything.
With search warrant in hand, Conrad collects a DNA sample from Sutherland and sends it to the crime lab. Meanwhile, investigator Mike Howard finds Robinson stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, with a career in the Navy.
You know, he played it very cool, extremely cool. It doesn't show his emotion on the outside.
Robinson seems eager to provide information about his old buddy, Sutherland.
I'm asking you, this is your opinion. What kind of person is he? Between us.
You have to watch, and the reason why I say that is because he's a womanizer. You know what I'm saying?
As the interview progressed, the questions start turning toward Robinson himself.
Why would your fingerprints be on a beer bottle with his fingerprints at a murder scene?
At a murder scene? I don't know.
At a park?
I don't know.
Robinson denies any involvement in the crime and hands over a swab of his DNA.
There were two separate DNA profiles obtained from spermatozoa, which were from items that were found at the crime scene. I actually found that the DNA profile obtained from the condom matched the DNA profile obtained from Mr. Sutherland, and the DNA profile obtained from the vaginal swabs from Pamela Shelley matched the DNA profile obtained from Mr. Robinson. It really doesn't get much better than that.
I think they had been.
After 7 years, cold case detectives have what they need.
We were prepared to get the arrest warrants and go after these guys.
In an interrogation room at the Chula Vista Police Department, Mike Howard faces off with Adrian Sutherland.
That DNA come back, this woman.
Not mine.
Yeah, I did.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, I did.
No, it didn't. I swear to God, it didn't come back.
Yeah, I did.
Hang on. No way.
Hang on.
No way. I don't know that woman.
Hang on. Well, you might not know her, but come back to her, and not only that, fingerprints came back to you.
All right, this is my final story, man. This is.
Make it the truth. That's all I want. I just want the truth.
This is exactly what happened. One night, me and Audrey were riding around, and we were somewhere over by 32nd Street, and that's where he met that girl. Picked her up. I do know that I didn't have sex with this girl, but I stood a distance while he had sex with her. I don't know what the hell went wrong, but he just started shooting that girl.
What he was telling me, that Robinson was the shooter, made sense. Details that he told me fit the evidence that I knew was in the case.
But Howard isn't ready to let Sutherland off the hook just yet.
Okay, but your semen's there. Explain it. What happened? Tell me. That's a mystery you got to clear up.
And then he went back and forth. He wavered. I don't remember having sex with one. Well, maybe I did. Oh, and then one point he says, okay, I did. No, I didn't. I don't remember.
After 4.5 hours, Howard ends the interview.
It's pretty exhausting, and boom, had to hop on a red eye. And boom, as soon as you land there, you know, you're ready to take on Robinson.
this? Okay.
He was quiet, reserved, playing it cool, like he was before.
During questioning, Robinson admits he and Sutherland picked up a prostitute. But he says Sutherland killed her.
He started hitting on and telling me to take off her clothes, strip it, take the off.
So what was happening? She was forced to have sex, this girl. You're saying that he wanted to shoot her as a result, is that right?
Yes, that's what I'm telling you.
It's a story Howard isn't buying.
He's playing a con game with me, hoping that he can con his way out of it.
I know you'd like to me, but a lot of things we can talk about here. I want you to hear me out.
Okay, we're going to get to the truth here.
How was the shooting?
What happened?
I can't.
Why? That's the only thing I don't know is why.
I can't even tell you why. You want me to tell you why I can't tell you why?
Yeah.
I don't even know why.
Robinson crumbles under the pressure and gives it up. He says he and Sutherland picked up Pamela Shelley, forced her to perform sex acts, and then he shot her in the back.
I was the one that hit her and told her to strip.
Okay. You got a gun in your hand? Okay.
He couldn't give a reason. He said it was senseless. He said he just snapped. It just happened.
Robinson and Sutherland are each charged with murder and sent to jail to await trial. In February of 2006, Andre Robinson stands trial for the murder of Pamela Shelley.
It's kind of a dream case for a prosecutor to have. Not only did we have the fingerprints on the bottle, but then we had Robinson's DNA, the body cavity swabs, okay? And we also had a complete confession.
During trial, Robinson changes his story and says Sutherland was the shooter.
The story was, I just confessed to it because I was under stress. I told them what they wanted to know. And it really wasn't me, it was the other guy.
It's a claim the jury doesn't buy. After 2 weeks of trial, Robinson is found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison.
The only difficulty in the case was against Sutherland, and that's why we decided to offer him a plea.
5 months later, Adrian Sutherland cops a plea.
And he pled guilty to 12 years. I think justice is done in that, 12 years is a long time in prison for the second guy, the non-shooter. But the shooter got life without parole, so the rest of his life he'll never get out.